goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple of feelings, and boom, you got a sound.
I remember this one time. I'd been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Tonight, award-winning singer-songwriter from Philadelphia, bringing us neo-folk, Emily Drinker. Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless, and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese.
Good evening, everyone. I am David Moore, the co-host.
And this is...
your next favorite band.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And spoiler alert, you've been introduced to this next favorite artist before on our show.
True. This is a repeat visit.
Correct. Very exciting. But before we get to that, I thought tonight we wanted to honor someone. There was a gentleman, pardon me, who was a wonderful guitar player, and I saw him perform, and he recently passed. And so I thought we might just spend a moment just sharing the little bit of his story that I'm even aware of. But Walter Wolfman Washington was this gentleman out of New Orleans. And I saw him perform. It was Musikfest 2018.
Do you have a picture of him up behind you?
No, but it's so this one over here is Trombone Shorty.
Okay.
And that was the same night. So the Voodoo Throwdown was
part of that whole touring package. Gotcha.
Correct. It was Preservation Hall Jazz Band, Galactic, and then Trombone Shorty. Galactic had a moment, 3 songs or whatever, where they brought out Walter Wolfman Washington. And as we talk on this show often, where it's like something just bowls you over as just amazing talent. He was like, you could tell he was like an older gentleman, and he had to walk the stage to come out, and he wasn't going to be able to perform standing. So there was like a stool, and his guitar was sitting there waiting for him. And so I was just like, wow, they're like, this guy is coming out. He must be like a legend. That's really cool. They're going to honor this guy. And then he just finally gets to the stool, sits down, picks up his guitar, and then like angels flew out of his guitar for roughly 21 minutes. It was just amazing. Like not knowing who he was, I didn't expect it to sound as good as it did just based on the physical appearance of what I saw walk out on stage.
Right.
But as soon as his fingers hit that guitar, he was a whole other human being.
Yeah.
And it was like an absolute just honor to watch that. And I didn't know he was not well. He was battling cancer, and apparently it was like the 26th. His birthday was right around Christmas. So he made it to his birthday, he made it to Christmas, and then he passed. Just recently down there, a lot of those artists like Galactic did a tribute show to him. And I just recommend you check out Walter Wolfman Washington. If you like blues and you like exceptional guitar playing, you will love Walter Wolfman Washington.
It's a nice little nod to him.
Yeah. I did find this little quick video. It's like not even 2 minutes long. It's like a quick intro to something else he was doing. And this will just give a little sense of what he was all about.
I was born in New Orleans. And Charity Hospital. 1943. See, my dad was the very first one in the family who really got behind me playing my guitar. My dad. Man, when I played that first chord, that just went through me. So I made my first guitar with a cigar box and a clothes hanger.
It's amazing.
And I had some rubber bands, running across it. I was just getting feeling it. Ever since I was a little bitty boy, I've always wanted to be a pillar of New Orleans in the music. Once you become yourself and understand why you want to be a musician, you're going to be recognized mostly at home. Because New Orleans musicians are known all over the world. For being soulful, understanding musicians. And they say once you get into that number, you automatically become a representative of New Orleans. I got cats, man, that's in my life that started off the same time that I did, but some of them just stopped playing. Me, I don't want to ever stop playing unless the Lord says so. That's the only way I stop playing music. Period. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the
I just thought that was such a touching last, where he says, the only way I stop playing is if the Lord says, and it's just a really touch. I mean, it just really kind of hit me. Mr. Porter, thank you for focusing on the Wolfman and for putting that together. And I believe it's part of a larger thing that was dedicated to his career and stuff. But again, just check out his music. He's spectacular.
Agreed. I don't know what to add. I don't want to stumble on what you've already just said that was so nice.
No, absolutely. So another spectacular musician. We'll transition to our guest for this evening.
Mm-hmm.
And we have queued up here a terrific song of hers that she performed back last year. She released her EP in 2022. This is a song of hers called "Guilty." And tonight what we have as a guest is Emily Drinker. So let's bring on to some of her music, and then we'll get into the bio and bring her on.
I don't know what you want me to say, but I know that you want me anyway. I let you down, it's clear to see. Thanks for being patient with me. You're an anomaly to me. You play cool as if to seem as casual as I'm being.
Emily Drinker is an award-winning singer-songwriter from Philadelphia. She blends folk, pop, and rock with a high-energy band and soulful 3-part harmonies through live looping. Emily has been featured by NPR Music, Philadelphia's WXPN, and played at many regional festivals including Firefly, Musikfest, and the Philadelphia Folk Festival. In the summer of 2022, Emily opened for rock icon Pat Benatar, songwriting legend J.T. Souther, and bass virtuoso Bakithi Kumalo. I know, I went right through it. Sorry about that. In addition to her busy performance schedule in Philly and its surrounding areas, Emily enjoys working as a session vocalist doing sync work for national television shows. Most recently, Emily's band won a contest that awarded them a slot playing on the Martin Guitar main stage at the 60th annual Philadelphia Folk Festival in August 2022, which was a dream come true for that rising star. Emily released her first EP, Run the Race, in 2017, and her most recent release is 2022's Starting to Feel.
Yeah, and she also opened for Rufus Wainwright recently, too. That was
the list
cool.
Grows.
It keeps going. So welcome to the show, Emily Drinker. We're going to let this keep playing here in the background while we bring you on. Emily, how are you doing tonight? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here. Hi, guys. Oh my gosh, this part was crazy. This drum solo, and then everybody's just like popping. It's nice to kind of relive that moment in time because that was such a great night. And
Yeah, tell us more about that.
celebrating
So,
that.
yeah, so you were releasing your music this night.
Yes, we were in the suburbs of Philadelphia at a venue called 118 North in this
Oh,
really
fun.
nice area called Wayne, PA.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a newer venue, but it's great. It's been doing really well, and decided to do the show there because I feel like I have a lot of fans that are in the suburbs around there and don't always feel like driving into Philly and dealing with parking. And it's a beautiful venue, nice stage, and we were celebrating that night clearly, and we had an awesome packed house, and it just felt so great
That's
to
awesome.
do that because this album, it's a lot of old songs that like I released almost all of the album as singles leading up to it. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
there's only 7 songs on it, and I think I released 6 singles. And so when it finally came out, it just felt like a long time coming, and it was more like, yeah, let's just celebrate this, even though this music is older and a lot of these songs are already out. Let's still have a big party and kind of close that chapter of my songwriting life, and then
Sure.
in the next one. So
Yeah. Those songs were written, from what I read, over about a decade span, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even that one, so if we could spend a moment there, Guilty, a lot of your songs are about like relationships, either
Mhm.
wanting them, working through them, ending them.
Totally. Yep.
But if I understood it right, that song took so long to write, it's actually got verses that are about 2 different people.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yes, you have done your homework. Yeah, it's so funny because it feels so long ago. I'm like, who was that one about? That verse? I can't even quite remember.
That's probably
Luckily,
a good thing.
it is like the
Yeah.
intensity that I felt in my like early 20s when I was just more angsty and just like
Sure.
struggling more in terms of dating, I guess. Luckily, I don't really feel that way anymore. So some of that intensity has faded, which is nice. But also, I'm glad I felt that way at the time because I was able to write some music in that
Mhm.
way.
Oh, it's a great
Yeah,
song too.
yeah. Thanks. And that one has definitely, despite the relationship themes, like it's just become a really fun one to do live with everybody. And just
Totally.
it's become more
Really
about
good.
the band. It's like they've almost converted it into like a jam band song, and God bless the band because my guys, like, they can rock out, and they just we made a whole drum solo, and then like for live settings, and then at the album release show we had percussion as well, so it was like, all right, drum solo, percussion solo, they're gonna go back and forth, everyone's gonna go crazy, and so much fun.
That's cool. That's very cool.
It's nice when they take on sort of a life of their own like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's
Um,
like probably the favorite song for a lot of the guys in my band. I think that might be one of their favorites to play, um, which always is nice because I write all the music in
mhm.
the band and they help me flesh it out a lot of the time or just arrange it for that ensemble. But it's nice when I know that they are really like jazzed to play a certain song. Like I don't think there's any songs of mine that they're like, oh, this one's a drag, but they particularly love that one, which makes me happy.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, being a creative and respecting, other artists, you put something out there that they enjoy. That's a
Yeah.
huge compliment.
Mhm.
So would love to just take you back. It's kind of what we do here is we say like, where did it all start? So like, can you take us back to maybe where, where did you know? Like, when did you know you were going to be a musician? Songwriting? Was there a person? Was there a moment? Was there something in the past that kind of triggered all that for you?
Ooh. Well, I've been performing for a really long time, probably since like 4th or 5th grade. I
Hmm.
did a lot of musical theater back then, and I
Did you just
definitely
go back and do like you visited your school where you played Annie or
yeah,
something? Yeah,
yeah, it was so cute. It was last winter, my middle school invited me back
that's so
because when
fun.
I fell really hard for musical theater when I
Hmm.
was a kid, and I was just all about Broadway, and I was convinced I wanted to be on Broadway. And I starred in Annie in the 6th grade at my middle school, and it was also the first year that they were doing a musical theater program there, which I didn't realize.
Hmm.
So last year was the 20th anniversary of the school doing musicals, and it was the 20th anniversary since I had been in Annie. and which made me feel quite old. But they invited me back to sing because they were so to celebrate that anniversary, they were doing Annie again with the current middle schoolers, and they said, "Would you come up and sing with the current Annie?" And very cute. And it was like one of the best moments ever.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was so sweet. And they gave me flowers, and all the kids like knew they had watched like videos of me back 20 years ago in that role, and they were very sweet about it. I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. I was just like trying to hold it together. Yeah, lots of theater back then. And then I didn't start writing songs till college. I think out of necessity and sort of an identity crisis in a way, because I went to school in New York City, and I went to Barnard College, which is a women's college that's part of Columbia University. And Barnard did most of the theater and a cappella stuff was happening across the street at Columbia. And I was not I loved a cappella music because I did that in high school, but I wasn't interested in being in the all girls a cappella group at Barnard. And luckily I was allowed to try out for any of the shows or groups at Columbia too, because it's kind of a weird relationship. You get you get a degree from Barnard, but you also it's basically like one of the colleges, except it has its own campus and its own endowment and everything. But yeah, it's kind of a weird relationship. So anyway, I ended up in an a cappella group at Columbia, which was co-ed, and I started doing theater at Columbia, and I was not getting lead roles in anything. And I was like, I had been spoiled growing up. Like I had always, not always, but I had a lot of leading roles as a kid, and I was convinced that was my destiny, and I loved it. And then in New York City at Columbia University, all these theater kids had been on Broadway.
Right.
A lot of them were like child stars. And like one kid was in Les Mis when they were younger, and one kid was in Beauty and the Beast. And like one girl was in the movie Spanglish, like just a few years before. And I was like, okay, I'm not really good enough. And I started to kind of realize maybe I don't want to do theater. I was so into the a cappella thing and was arranging music for my a cappella group. And I had bought my first ukulele before college started. Like I showed up freshman year with my ukulele and just would sit in the dorm hallway trying to make friends, literally like hoping people would walk by and sit down and sing with me. And from there, I kind of started writing songs, probably like sophomore year of college, just kind of messing around, and then loved that and started to perform a little bit here and there, and then just dreamed of being in a band. And I was never in a band in college. And then it wasn't until after college that I saw an ad on Craigslist for a band that was looking for a female singer to go do a cruise ship gig with them in Europe. And I auditioned. But yeah, to answer your question about when I knew that I wanted to be an entertainer, there's so many moments growing up. I think, just seeing people perform. Yeah.
Was there any music, like parents or in your family history, like any musicians?
Yeah. So my dad, I've heard about my dad's banjo. He emailed me a photo recently too of his banjo that had a homemade neck. I'm like, you made that?
Fun.
He sold it when he was in his 20s and he was broke. He tells me all this cool stuff that he used to do, and he's like, but then I was broke, so I had to sell it. I'm like, Dad, like his record collection, his vintage cameras, his banjo. But he has always played guitar and exposed us to a lot of great stuff when we were kids. Like we always went to the Philly Folk Fest with my dad just for day trips when I was younger. And he's into the old stuff. Like Doc Watson is probably his favorite.
Oh, sure.
John Prine, like all that kind of folky and older country stuff was what he was all about.
Sure.
Both my parents, my mom used to sing at weddings, not in like a proper wedding band, but she had a nice voice. So a lot of her friends would ask her to sing at their weddings and different things like that. Yeah, she still sings well, I think. She doesn't think she does, but I think she still sings well. And then, both of my brothers are musical, both theater people as well growing up, and songwriters as well. So, and then dating even way further back, my family has this really kind of wacky history in Philadelphia. And
I was going to ask about this.
Oh yeah, you guys knew a little bit last
Yeah.
time I talked to you, but there was one famous person in my family who was a famous lawyer, but he also on the side was a musicologist
Mhm.
and would have people over on the weekends to sing at his home, and he would have like 50 people over and they would sing these
Mhm.
Bach chorales that he was translating from German into English, and they even hosted the Von Trapps when they came to the US. Like the Von Trapp family stayed with the Drinker family in Marion, PA for like
And
a week
when
or
I
two.
read that, I was like blown. I was like, that's so cool.
It seems like such an old wives' tale. Like it seems like a myth or something, but
Right. Yeah, totally.
Because it is.
apparently
It's the
happened.
same last name. The man's name was Drinker, right?
It's my family, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like would have been a great somebody to me, grandfather. So that's pretty cool, just kind of thinking of that. And I've always loved hosting, and I try to host house concerts when I can. And I do want to continue that kind of legacy that he had
Mhm.
of hosting these singing parties. Yeah, so there's some music going on.
That is very, very cool. And thank you for sharing that. Let's dive back into this cruise ship thing. So you're getting out of college, you answer a Craigslist ad, and then boom, you're off on a tour, just playing covers, right? It's all covered
Mhm.
music. Yeah. So tell us more about that one, because cruise ships sound like they'd be like really fun for a short period of time and then monotonously, painful after that.
How did you know? That's like spot on.
That's actually the name of the band.
Yeah.
Monotonously Painful. Tonight, 8 p.m.
That's so much better than any of the corny cruise ship names that we did have. Like we should have just been called that. Because oh my God, we were one of the bands, because I worked on the ships for a couple years until I realized it was becoming monotonously bad and painful. One of the bands I was in was called Emily Drinker and the Nightcaps. You have to have like something corny. It's almost
Sure.
required.
Right. It has to be pun worthy.
Yes, absolutely. But I found this ad and didn't know if it was legit. Went to audition. At the time, I was still living in Brooklyn, because after undergrad at Barnard and Columbia, I moved to Brooklyn because that's what you're supposed to do. And I had no clue about how to make enough for my rent was more than I've ever paid in Philly. And this was like 10 years ago. I don't know how I did it. I had like 3 part-time jobs, and I just wanted to sing. And I may have told you guys this before, but I just think this is such a funny aspect of me yearning so badly to be a
Mhm.
musician. Like I would be going to my 3 part-time jobs in New York, which, okay, one was at a domestic violence shelter, and it was incredibly intense and stressful. And it was $12 an hour. And I was like on the phone screening these poor women that were hoping to be let into the shelter. And then I was doing overnight shifts, and I was picking them up wherever when they were first arriving. And then I was going to work for this acupuncturist as a receptionist, and randomly, and hoping to get free acupuncture whenever possible. And I was working at a frozen yogurt shop as a manager, and I was terrible and I got fired. Okay, so all of that to say, I'm doing all those things. I'm like, I just want to sing. Like, this is all I want to do. I know I'm good at it. I've been singing for a long time. I just want to be in a band. So I was searching Craigslist for singer, just typing in singer, and it was just giving me sewing machine.
Yeah.
So
I was
stupid.
just going to say you were getting nothing but sewing machine ads.
Yeah, it was great. It was so funny. But once in a while, something good would pop up, and this cruise ship ad was there. And I auditioned for these guys in this loft in Brooklyn, and I was terrified because I didn't know if they were gonna like kidnap. I don't know. It was just weird. Like
Totally
10
get it.
years ago,
Sure.
Craigslist, a woman alone walking to this random apartment in
Right.
Brooklyn.
They make movies about that.
Yeah, and I didn't tell my parents purposefully until it was all like signed, sealed, delivered. I had the letter of employment in hand, and I was very coy about it. I just emailed my dad the contract, and I was like, because he's retired now, but he worked as a tax accountant, and he's just very good with the fine print. And so I said, can you read this contract and tell me if it looks legit? And that was my way of telling him I got this job. And he was like, what? You're going to Barcelona? I'm like, oh yeah, I got a job. Is this fine? What are look okay?
Can I sign this?
Is there something in this I should be concerned about?
Yeah.
This doesn't involve a kidney, does it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I went. It was all good, and I went to the cruise and with these two strangers from Craigslist who were from North Carolina originally, and I flew to North Carolina first to try to rehearse for 10 days, and we were also getting to know each other, so we didn't really
Sure.
rehearse a whole lot. We were like going out drinking, we were hanging
Yep.
out, and tried to cram and learn like
You're
100
working on
songs.
band dynamics, is what you were doing.
That's right.
Well, I
Team building,
Yeah,
as they
team
would say in the
building,
corporate
there was a
world.
lot of team building that had to happen, and and the best part was one of the guys in the band. His last name was Brinker, so it was Drinker, Brinker, and Wagner, and you can't make
Well,
this
you
up,
guys were
right?
already like an accounting firm already
Right.
with like
Yeah, yeah.
names like that.
Precisely. Like when we got there, we didn't have a name, and we had to tell the cruise ship a name because they think that we're already a real band, and we're not.
Right.
And the main guy who put it all together was Wagner, and he was like, "We're the Wagner Trio." So then they put that in the program, and every day the cruisers look through the program to see what's happening. And people would show up, and they were expecting Wagner. They thought we were playing strings and playing classical music. So the cruise ship was like, "You can't
We gotta
be
change
the
this."
Wagner Trio.
Yeah.
We have to change this. It's confusing the guests."
hmm
So I said, let's be Drinker Brinker Wagner, even though it sounds like a law firm.
hmm
Right.
And they said, no, it sounds like a law firm. And so then the one guy said, let's be Union Station. And I'm like, but that's already a band.
Right. Right.
Yeah, everyone's gonna think it's Alison
Alex-
Krauss's backing band at that point in time.
So somehow that actually, we did that for a while. That was our name, I think, for the rest of the time.
So you went from Wagner to the Union Station.
And that's confusing too, because we weren't like an Alison Krauss cover band.
No.
I mean, we were
Right.
playing all kinds of music.
Right.
So it was very interesting being put together with these two guys and with Brinker and Wagner. But I loved the experience anyhow. And I came back to Philly after, I think we were there for 4 or 5 months, traveling around the Mediterranean, which was amazing.
Sure.
And I came home and I thought, I want to do it again with people that I know from Philly.
Mhm.
And I had met this great guitar player, Ethan Kane, who I've played with now for about a decade.
Yeah.
I had met him around the campfire at the Philly Folk Fest, and we had hit it off. And he seemed like somebody that would want to do this. And sure enough, he was. And I said, would you live on a cruise ship with me for like 4 to 6 months? And he was like, yeah, I don't need to be at this random job I'm doing. Like,
Mhm.
let's go. And he said, I know a drummer and I know a bass player. And we formed Emily, Drinker, and the Nightcaps.
Mhm.
And we went back to the ship with this new band. And that really had a lot of ups and downs too, because even though I was with people I sort of knew from Philly, at least I knew them more than these randos from Craigslist.
Total randos. Yeah.
We were also not a real band that had been playing together. And we faced a lot of trials with the cruise line at first with that second contract. And
Mhm.
they almost kicked us off. They were like, you're not cutting it. And, we need the dance floor to be bumping the whole time. And you're the
Right.
party band. Because Drinker Brinker Wagner was more of a lounge, like a coffee shop band. Like it was
Mhm.
acoustic and
Right.
more chill. And then this was the party band. So we were supposed to be like getting
Right.
everyone dancing all night. And I had never done that. And my voice was like exhausted. I was just chronically hoarse for the whole
Mhm.
time. It was really rough. And eventually we passed the test that they set for us. They said, we're going to have this random party as we sail away from St. Petersburg, Russia. And we're going to invite everybody to the party, and you better make it a party.
Mhm.
And it's all about you guys. And the cruise director is going to come in, and you don't know when he's going to show up, but he could come in at any time during the 2-hour party. And if there's not a full dance floor, you are packing your bags.
Wow.
And I was the head of the band, and I was like terrified. And then he came in. I know it seemed like the most dramatic thing at the time, because if you get fired, it's like, it is dramatic. You have to pack
Oh, of
your
course.
suitcase and fly
Yeah.
home, and they're not paying for the flight. And luckily, he came in during Crocodile Rock, and everybody loves that song. and
That's right.
bumping, and he just gave me a thumbs up and walked away. He didn't even stay the whole song, and I was just like, oh, thank God. And then everyone like loved us. After that, we were on this high, and we were like, we're the best, and like we did really well. And then I ended up doing 2 more contracts with some of the same people, like with Ethan and a different band. But
Sure.
anyway, It was great. I loved it. It was a great chapter in my life. I still kind of want to go back once in a while when I'm maybe just like going through something here at home and just fantasizing about that. And then I remember that a lot of it sucks. And then I think,
Well,
no, 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 you
it's
already did that.
probably this is a good transition. I've been taking classes in transition, so let me try this one out.
Oh,
on you.
nice.
No, I'm totally kidding, but
Oh, I was like, that seems like a real thing. I wanted
it probably should be.
For all your local news coverage instead
That's
of,
right.
Meanwhile.
But I did see. So basically, I saw somewhere in the research that even though it's fun and it's energetic and you're feeding off of the vibe of people, but consistently playing covers every night just zaps your personal creativity. So you couldn't even write while you were there, even though you may have had some downtime or whatever. So you had to stop it so that you could get back to being a songwriter, if I understood that part right. And that brings us to, if I get it right, well, a little bit of a jump forward. 2017, you released your first EP, Run the Race.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that must have taken, obviously, a little bit of time. You come off the boat, you transition into your creativeness, and you start building up that rapport. But like you were saying, you were also consistently writing songs from earlier on before that phase and whatnot. So anyway, EP, Run the Race.
Yeah. Well, I came back and in the end of 2016, and it was, I just didn't really know what to do next. But I knew I wanted to focus more on the songwriting thing and got the band together. And luckily the guys, after some time of just adjusting and getting back to living on land, we
got their land legs back.
We got our land, we had to get our land legs back. It took some time, but it was my same group that I was on the cruise with, which is called the Funky Tea. We were all just so close after that experience living together on the ship. So everybody was down to do all my original music, and they had already learned a lot of it while we were on the ship. Like sometimes we would sneak in originals on the ship. And so, a few months later,
But they better be bringing people on the dance floor. That's all.
Yeah. Yep. Which they did. I have this video from the stage of like this whole group doing like a country line dance to one of my songs, and it was very bizarre. But they didn't care if it was the right beat. They were like, "We can dance to this."
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, but we recorded the album, and then it took several years to actually finish the thing. Like we did everything in one day, which was really great. Like 7 songs in one day, but then, we have to add harmonies. We have to redo this guitar solo, or we have to fix this one thing. And that took literally like over 2 years because COVID started during that interim time. But started to finally, during COVID, just thought, I have to start releasing this music. I've spent all this time and energy and a lot of money. And it was a great decision when I started putting out all the singles, because I think at that time people were so eager to connect through music, and everyone was going crazy. And I got way bigger of a response locally here in Philly than I anticipated. And it really kind of launched me into just trying to do my thing, my original music more seriously. And so that's what I've been trying to do ever since.
Yeah. And so like you said, that EP comes out in 2017. You released a bunch of singles leading up to 2022.
That was the one I was kind of talking about. Yeah,
that's starting to feel,
timeline.
No, totally cool. Because I think that's where you were there. Because I do think COVID plays a big role in that. Is like, the world shifted in that 2019, 2020 timeframe, and as a lot of people have come on the show and talked about as a performer, again as a creative, kind of like a holy crap moment, and then also just shifting to other ways to kind of still accomplish that. I know that you did not only releasing the singles of your original music, but you were hosting other Philly musicians and promoting their music. So like you really went through like a really cool like renaissance moment there where you were doing a little bit of everything, and it's just kind of making the best of the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think that time between coming back from the cruise, like in the first EP in 2017 and up to COVID, like, before COVID, I was working on the original stuff. I had that first EP, but I was still like waitressing, and I was still feeling kind of confused about my trajectory and how to like get involved in like my local music community. I was doing a lot of things, but I was still doing so many cover gigs. And then, I definitely think the pandemic, in a weird way, I don't want to say it helped, but it forced me
It
to really,
crystallized some things.
yeah, and to dig in and like focus so much more on connecting with people online, and like doing an online live stream series myself
Hmm.
was so great, and like just connected me to all these artists that I didn't know, and to a lot of new listeners too, people that were just wanted to tune in and help
Sure.
out in any way, because it was like a donation based show where
Right.
people would Venmo me for the
Hmm.
show, and we would give it all to the artists, and yeah, it was really successful. It went really well,
Hmm.
and I just was so thrilled that that was something that came out of the horribleness of the pandemic,
Yes.
just connecting
Yeah,
and
for sure.
getting
In whatever ways that we could.
yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask about, because it kind of speaks back to family, is the cover of that Starting to Feel album is your grandmother when she was in her
Mhm.
20s. And
Yeah,
there,
that's my mom's mom, so not the musicologist
right.
side, but yeah, the other side.
But there was something about, I heard you just talking about it, like the way she's captured in that moment just kind of spoke to you in some way, and I think you said she looks like a badass, which she totally does. But I just more mean like it was a cool way to kind of honor that
Yeah, thanks.
in your your approach to all of that. But yeah,
Yeah,
and
I love
then
that photo.
it is a great photo. And then just kind of leading us up now to, so we kind of got to the release party, the music's out there, and now we're somewhat coming out of this pandemic impact of things. And so you perform at Musikfest this past summer, which you've done in the past. I was just more like, this was, we were able to catch you there, and it was like hearing you also perform with the full set, with the full band. Crushed it, amazing. And then that led us to be, kind of connect with you. And then you also were kind enough to join us for our Winter WonderJam. So like we've had like a 4-month window here where there's been just some really, really cool stuff going on. So I kind of wanted to give you a chance there to kind of chat about your Musikfest experience. And then, I would love to hear too about the contest you won to perform at Philly Folk Fest, because if you've been going to that since you were a kid, that must have been an amazing moment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Musikfest was so great. I'm just like so in love with the whole scene in Bethlehem, and
Hmm.
I'm not from there, and I went a few years ago and played as a duo. I guess in like maybe 2018 and
Hmm.
2019 I played at Musikfest, but it was different this past year when I met y'all, just being with the
Hmm.
full band, and like there were so many more people at the set. Like it felt great
Yeah.
to be in front of that audience and to be on a bigger stage. And yeah, I love how they run it. I love the way that they get so many local artists, and they're such champions of those local artists, like you guys are too. And in addition to having bigger names, of course, as well. And like
Right.
it's just unique that the people that go to Musikfest, they're here for it. Like they want to hear the
Oh yeah.
person they never heard of, and they're
Yep.
going to sit through the whole set and really listen. And that's the experience that I had, which was so cool. And they have
Hmm.
the app now, and I had the app, like I was looking at it right before our set, and I found our set listed on there, and it said like however many people had kind of
Yeah.
pre-saved it, or I
Right.
forget
Right.
what it is, something like that, like
Right. You can tell
marking
it
that
that you
off.
want to go see that, and then it does it shares how many
Yeah,
different people have triggered that to be added to their
and it
personal
was
list.
like way more people than I would have thought, and I was like, oh, which was a nice confidence boost going into the performance. And then it was really hot that day. I was like
Hmm.
melting. It was
Mhm.
nice, but it was fun. And we
Yeah.
played for 2 hours straight, or we took like a 5-minute break in the middle, or 10-minute break, but we had 2 sets.
Yeah.
But
Music Fest
yeah,
is often 12 million degrees.
but
We got lucky
it
this
was
last
so
year. The
cool.
last week, the last 3 days of it were pristine. Like when you, because you perform with Ryan Tennis, who we've had on the show
Yeah,
previously, and his set was like 81 degrees and zero humidity.
that was so nice.
So
Yeah,
way different than your
1 week
band's experience, but at least
later,
you got to perform it. Yeah, it was just such a
it
wild,
was really
beautiful
nice.
experience. Yeah.
I loved being there so much longer this year. Like I stayed over in a hotel the one night
Hmm.
before Ryan's set, and I appeared like 6 times, I think, or 5 or 6 times throughout the weekend with different, I did
Yeah.
a duo thing with Ryan one day, and then
Hmm.
full band, and then my band, and then I did another duo thing with Ethan. It was great. I loved it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan. But I must say I'm even a bigger fan of Folkfest because that's like
Yeah, tell us about that.
going
Yeah,
forever.
sure.
I mean, I love them both, but Folkfest is quite unique, and it's been going on for like 60. They just had the 60th anniversary, and older than Woodstock, and everybody gets together on this farm, and it's hot as hell, and everyone's camping out, and there's a bunch of hippies, and it's very special. The fact that I met two of the members of my band around the campfire, and like just the friendships that I've made there are incredible. And some people you only see at Folkfest every summer, but you still feel like they're
You pick up where you left off.
friend. Yeah, you pick exactly. And which was a really cool aspect when we won this contest they were doing for the local scene to perform on the main stage. When we won, well, the contest was like a lot because they had like 32 different acts and all these different semi-finals and things, and it was just like seemingly never ending at the time.
It sounds like a March Madness bracket of folk musicians.
It was a lot. It was very much like that, and each
folk madness
level you had to perform again at the Folk Song Society venue in Roxborough, which is in Philly. Right, actually, I live right down the street from the Folk Song Society venue space, but you were supposed to bring people out each time, and like it was very tough because people had already voted for me, and then I was like, "Do you want to pay $15 and vote again for me, please? I love you." And like, thankfully, people did, but I felt so obnoxious because I was just like, "Please help me!" And it's just hard to compete against your friends.
Sure.
I know everyone in the Philly music scene, and like, I don't want to go against them, but I won, which was very exciting for my band and for me. And like the day of the show, looking in the crowd and seeing some of these Folkfest friends that I've known for like 10 or 15 years that I only see every year at Fest, seeing that like some people were so genuinely like emotional and happy for me, which I just didn't expect. And like seeing some of these folks and like hugging them afterwards, and like it was a lot. It was a very, very emotional and meaningful experience. Yeah, and it was
I'm
super
sure it had
fun.
to be, again, like we said before, like you were going there as a kid, and now you're able to get on the main stage. Like that's got to be just such a very, very cool moment.
I was going there as a kid at like age 12. That might have been, you were asking earlier, like a moment that you kind of knew. There were many moments there just watching people on the main stage, just thinking, oh. And it felt great. And Livingston Taylor performed after us, like he was directly after our set, and he's James Taylor's brother. And super lovely human, and he stayed and he was there early. He watched our entire sound check and our set, and he was just in the wings like giving me a thumbs up and being all encouraging and cute.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he was so cool. And I met some other of the headliners from that day, like just backstage, and yeah, it was so cool. I loved it. And they gave me a really nice video right after the set. Like they gave me a thumb drive, and they were like, "Here you go, here's the whole set." And
that's awesome.
So I still need to kind of release some of that. I want to put some teasers out and eventually just put it up on YouTube, I guess, so people can see.
Yeah, but, no, that would be super cool to check that out.
Yeah.
But other things people could check out. You said you might be able to perform tonight?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I have either my 8-string ukulele or my guitar hanging behind me. Let's see. Do you want to hear? Let's see. Do you want to hear something brand new that I'm trying to work through?
I love that stuff.
That sounds great.
Not done.
Yeah.
It'd be a little tease.
Yeah.
It's not.
And I love pulling it off the wall too, like a weapon.
Yeah.
Just to unsheath it.
That's right.
Because it makes a nice wall.
It totally does. Yeah.
It does. Artwork almost. So
we're going to actually come off screen. We'll give you full center stage. You can introduce the song, and you can give some of the backstory of it.
Sure. So it is not quite finished, but sometimes when I'm working on a new song, I get really excited about it, and I'm hoping that I can finish it and write a bridge. That's the thing that it's lacking. So if anyone has any ideas for a bridge, let me know. But yeah, this is a newer one. I've found that I had so many just huge personal highs this year, or last year, I should say. just really exciting moments in my career, opening for different people that were heroes of mine. And festivals and things, as we were just talking about. And after some of those huge moments, it was kind of hard to get out of bed the next, like for a while, for many mornings after. And it's a little puzzling because it's like, I'm so thrilled that I'm doing what I love and I'm getting to do this full time, but it's also a little bit hard to know what's next and to see the way forward despite all the good stuff that's going on. It's like, it's just a bit overwhelming, I guess. So this is kind of about that feeling. And yeah, we'll see what happens. This is the new one. I finally made it. I got out of bed and I went downtown to get creative. I ran into my friends at the mall and then we got to singing. And everything feels better right now. Right now. Right now. Don't wanna be famous. I just wanna be up there on the stage doing my thing, singing, tapping in my power and to feel the authenticity. 'Cause I notice that's when I feel most alive. Most alive, yeah. 'Cause we're all on this earth to feel alive, and we all deserve to thrive, and that's fine. That's just fine. It's pretty basic, this idea that I can give myself what I need and not spend so much time worrying about people pleasing, and give myself some love finally. Finally, yeah. And we're all on this earth to feel alive, and we all deserve to thrive, and that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh. And there would be a bridge, maybe another verse. That's the idea. Thanks. Still working it out.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, and for trusting us and our audience for being able to experience that. That's a beautiful song. I can't wait to hear it wrap up.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to make it like a big, positive kind of like pop song. Like probably not acoustic guitar at all, but like kind of funky. I don't know.
But it's also good to know that it has the bones to also exist in this format too, like this coffee house style. I think that's cool because that's honestly love when someone's playing a song that like this is you're either working on it or hasn't yet been released, or it's a well-known song that is now going to get played in a totally different style on the show because you only have the acoustic option. So anyway, thank you again, and I think that's terrific.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
We'll be rooting for that one.
And I'm serious. If you have an idea for the bridge, because bridges are really hard to write, I find.
Yes. In fact, that was our late night talk. Yeah.
It was. That was the conversation was specifically about bridges and favorite ones from songs. I still have mine. I'm ready to pull it out.
I listened to it when I was heading home from Bethlehem that night.
Yep. See, I knew everyone was going to do that. I had to listen to the other one too that we were talking about.
Yeah,
so
we basically Emily Drinker performed live, like we talked about before, at the Winter WonderJam episode, and so did Bobby Siegfried. And after we were done, we were all a little hungry, so we all went out and ate some food. And that was the topic of conversation: was what's the greatest bridge in music? And so someone threw out "Respect" by Aretha Franklin.
That was mine.
That was yours?
Yeah, which is
David.
A fantastic. Mine was "Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic" by the Police.
Yes.
Which sounds great too. Since then, I was not yet musically trained enough to even know what I liked and didn't like, whether it was a bridge or not. I've come to learn most of the songs I truly love aren't structured that way.
Okay, that's fine too.
But I believe, and like this was a cool one that I thought I came across, was actually "Jeremy" by Pearl Jam. Has a very cool. I don't know if you would totally qualify as a bridge, but
it is. Yeah, there's definitely a bridge in that. That's the part where basically the story, you find out.
Yes,
the story part is the bridge part where they sort of like.
I just wasn't sure. Sometimes the song
gets real fast.
Right, gets to a bridge and then it doesn't quite whip back around to another verse, and then I don't know if that doesn't qualify anymore. And again, the little bit of research I did, that's what I came across.
Nice. I was just thinking of a different one. Like I just did this 90s night at a music venue in Philly the other night, and super fun. But I was singing "Don't Speak" by No Doubt, and that has a nice bridge, and then it goes into what I consider the bridge, then which is sung, goes into kind of an instrumental solo part with like acoustic guitar, and that might still be the bridge. But anyway, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to think about bridges, except for my own songs. I don't think about it, and I avoid them, and I'm like, I can't do it.
But it will come to you, and that might be. Sorry, go ahead, David. If you had
no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask.
You derail that.
The song you sang that night at Winter WonderJam was called "Something's Coming," and it's about songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to ask, and it kind of even speaks to this, like, who's singing that song? Like, is that you to yourself? Is it the muses trying to convince you? Like, is it the right brain talking to the left brain? Like, as I was listening to it that night and since then, it's just this thing where it's almost felt musical theater-esque, where it was like, I could picture it in a show where like the songwriter's got like some sort of a writer's block, and there's this other version of themselves that's like, just keep after it. Something's coming. Anyway, I didn't know if there was something about that you wanted to share, and it speaks to maybe again the struggle with the bridge.
I love that. I like considering that in like on a stage, if it was in a play, like it could be two people. It's really just me talking to myself, but that could be portrayed in a certain way theatrically.
Of course, yeah.
It's kind of just me being like, stick with it. There's a song coming. And actually, funny you should mention that, because I am releasing that on January 20. I should know since I should be promoting it, but I just decided the 27th, I'm going to put that song out as a single.
Very cool.
Yeah, we recorded at my house. We have a little home studio going.
Nice.
But yeah, it's more just me talking to myself, which I do a lot.
Well, what I loved about it too is you took a very positive angle of perhaps struggling with like not quite finding the next moment in the song. And some people could sit there and write that as a huge, depressing, somber, I'll never get this right, or, it's so hard to be an artist. Whereas you took this like positive angle for your own purposes of saying, hey, just keep after it, drink some more coffee, we'll figure it out.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I often feel very much stuck in a negative rut around that stuff. And so I'm like, I should just listen to my own song, right? I do have a positive.
Exactly right. Yeah, play that song by, oh, wait, that's me.
You take the Prince route and only listen to your own music at that point in time.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. During a specific time?
I mean, he's Prince. I mean, it's not so bad, but I mean, it's still, there's an ego factor to that. It's like, wow.
I can't listen to, I haven't listened to my newest album really, since, I don't think I even listened to it the day it came out, and I wanted to, but I just couldn't, because I've already heard it so many times, when it was being created. It's like, I can't. But sometimes maybe we should all be a little more like Prince.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, bask in your own successes and excellence. Absolutely.
We're all going to change our names in the lower third.
Right into symbols. Some sort of symbol. I have one last question. So you actually, when I was looking through your YouTube channel, you have obviously a lot of your originals and then some cool covers that you've done. First time ever for our show, you covered a previously interviewed guest. I saw you did a cover of In It Together by Marielle Craft.
Oh, wow. Nice.
She's been on the show before, so I didn't know if there was like, I know she recorded that down in Philly with Joshua Howard, so I didn't know if there was a connection there somehow, but I thought I'd just ask about that because I'm going through it and I'm like, wait, they covered another
that's cool.
guest
Your
on the
next
show.
favorite band, Inception.
That's right, yeah. Where my brain wrapped around a building. Anyway, so yeah, anything
It
about
worked.
that?
It was
Yeah.
that was my next favorite band. No, I didn't know you guys yet, but I wish I could blame you and say, no, I heard her interview. And I
Oh, that would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not even assume that for 2 seconds, but but no, tell us about that.
Though. No, so during the early days of like COVID, just when we were all quarantined, I was offering covers for like $20. Just would do a little video at home, and somebody requested that song.
Oh, wow.
And I actually already knew Marielle because I did a So Far Sounds show with her in 2018, I think, or 2019. I met her and we were doing a show together. And then I may have crossed paths with her a couple times after that. And she was definitely like on my radar after we did the show together. Or, So Far Sounds?
Yes.
That series, yeah. And I was following along with her after that. And Joshua Howard was someone that I sang with briefly in a James Taylor tribute band that I'm part of in Philly. But he was also, he's not in it anymore, but he used to sing at the church that I sing at every Sunday. So we kind of already knew each other. And yeah, so this person who requested it, I don't know if you know a guy named Jackson Howard, who's another amazing songwriter from Philly.
Nope.
But he asked me to cover Marielle Craft and Joshua Howard's In It Together. So I did, and it took me forever because I'm not really like a video editor, but I was like, I'm doing this and I'm doing like, all these parts, and I played keys, and I don't normally play keys. I had so much fun with it though.
That's cool. Marielle's playing at Milk Boy Philly in February.
So I'm odd for that. Yeah.
So we'll be going down for that. So if you happen to be able to join for that, we can hang out and listen to some Marielle.
I would totally go. She's great.
I'm actually wearing her shirt tonight in honor of all this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so great.
Yeah, we're big fans. But anything else we can promote for you? So we've got the single coming out later
January
this month.
27th.
And you do have some shows coming up,
I'll be traveling. Actually, I'm going on tour with Ryan Tennis in Colombia, South America at the end of this month. Well, we'll be there for most of February on a tour playing most of his music, but we're doing a bunch of my songs as well.
Very cool.
And it's going to be super fun. We're taking a group of like 25 like tourists from Philly with us to come watch
I saw
us
him promote some of that. Yeah.
play all the shows and to just take them around to Colombia. And then he's going to be living in Germany. Like after Colombia, he's pretty much going.
He's there for like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. And I am going to join him there for a month, probably in April, to tour around Switzerland and hopefully do some house shows in Germany too. So I'm just like, Ryan, bring me along, because he's so great at booking all these things. And he's awesome. He's I consider him my mentor, and I'm trying to learn how to do that sort of stuff for myself, because that's my dream really, to do this, to be touring and more often and be traveling. So so I'll be doing that. So I don't have any local dates really, but
she's got a South American and European tour coming up, is basically what she's saying.
Basically.
Yeah, that's
cool,
we're lucky we got you in before you flew off to locations unknown.
Jet set around the globe.
It's gonna be hostels, and hopefully Ryan and I won't go insane traveling together. No, we'll have a great time. We've traveled before together, so it'll be good. But yeah, next weekend, or I guess this coming Saturday, which is quite soon, in Philly, they do this Philly Loves Bowie week. And ever since he died, huge Bowie fans in Philly have been throwing this week-long thing, and
that's January 14th, just for clarity, just in case anybody's what this Saturday means and they're not sure when they heard this.
Yes, if anyone's listening before Saturday, January 14th, it's the finale of Philly Loves Bowie week, and it's at a venue that was always like my favorite venue, and I always wanted to play there. So it's great to get to do that Union Transfer.
Great spot.
Cool spot.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So I'm going to be all decked out in a lot of crazy makeup and crazy outfit and singing some hits by
I've
Bowie.
noticed that you lean in on that, and I love it. Like you for Halloween, you did
Yeah.
a good skull makeup and stuff like that. That's so fun that you
Thanks.
kind of.
I'm really trying to. I want to get
Mhm.
more into that because I think performers, we're on stage, like
Yeah.
it's really fun to just go all out, and it's another mode of expression, of course,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm all about. So I'm glad that I can lean into that
Yeah.
on stage.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, thank you so much for coming on the show. We look
Yes.
forward to to more music coming out, and then our hope, I guess, fingers crossed, would be after you do your South American European tour, we get to see you perform up this way again in the summertime. Some of the festivals, maybe Musikfest again, maybe
Yeah.
Philly Folk Fest again. As those announcements come out, we'll be looking for your name.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was really fun.
Absolutely, thank you, and thank you for playing that. That song is terrific,
Yeah,
and
the song was beautiful. Thank you.
yeah,
Looking
and
forward to seeing what the bridge looks like.
yeah, I hope if some fan out there sells you a bridge. Anyway, thanks so
guys.
much.
I appreciate what you do here on this show, and I'm glad to know you guys now. and to be
Absolutely, yeah.
pals.
Yeah, we're all pals. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thanks.
David,
Philip,
yet another successful interview in the books.
I'm writing the bridge in my head right now.
I
It's
think
so
you might
good.
be. Yes, that's quick. Grab your bass.
Yeah, I just got to get somehow make the musician in my head show up in the musician in my hands, which is never going to happen. It never seems to work out that way.
Yeah, not always easy. Which is why when these super talented people make it look easy, we like to bring them on the show and let everybody witness it.
Precisely.
All right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Emily Drinker for joining us tonight and sharing all of her stories about her extremely talented family and upbringing in the music industry, the cruise experiences into the music writing, and then into Philly Folk Fest, Musikfest, Winter WonderJam, and all of that great stuff, and all of the wonderful original new music she's got coming out. There'll be links in the show notes to the website, Spotify, YouTube channels, and all that good stuff. Be sure to give them a follow. And as always, we always recommend, if you can and you enjoy the music, support them by buying merch directly from the artists so that it goes straight to them and supporting their efforts in future endeavors of writing and creation. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you already knew Emily Drinker, thank you for joining. And hopefully you will like and subscribe so we can bring you perhaps your next favorite band. We do this every Tuesday night, streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And then the podcast comes out every Thursday. And we've got lots of great guests coming up. And hopefully we will catch a live show soon together.
It's all over now.